right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 140-pound division where a certain Gary Antuanne Russell is rumored to be close to closing a unification fight. This unification fight will be a step towards unifying a very, very solid but yet underrated division, the 140-pound division, which has talent there, despite also having several prima donnas in that weight class. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. At a certain point in time in a fighter's career, if they're going to get to the top, you start seeing their footprint or their reputation start to grow rapidly after they get a certain thing done in their career. And it depends on what how fighters get popular depends on the fighter, and it depends on the circumstance. Sometimes, you get a really big fight and you're lucky enough to transition a lot of those fans into being fans of yours, kind of like Manny Pacquiao did when he came over to the United States and had an upset win in an exciting style. His style was just so exciting that he really got a lot of fans. And I'm hoping that is going to be the situation soon for a guy named Gary Antuanne Russell. Gary Antuanne Russell is the younger brother of Gary Russell Jr. and is the WBA 140-pound champion. If you've not seen this guy fight, you absolutely positively have to see him fight. I like Gary Antuanne Russell for the same reason that I like Errol Spence Jr. I like aggressive fighters that put a lot of pressure on the opponent, but yet can still box at the same time when they need to. And so Gary Russell, who had lost his first opportunity to win a world champion, he had basically won all of his fights by knockout. He got into a fight with Alberto Puello, and he lost a very close decision to Alberto Puello. Returned against Rayo Valenzuela, the WBA champion, and put on an absolutely spectacular performance. So he's 1-2 in title fights. But yet it seems as if he is going to hopefully, he's going to get another opportunity at the IBF championship with another good young fighter named Ricardson Hitchens. Ricardson Hitchens, I do believe, won that title off Liam Paro after Liam Paro had won the title off of Subriel Matias. So, the IBF belt is, kind of went through, a little bit of, what do you call it when you just passing things around, just kind of went around flipping between different people. And now at this point, it's settled with Ricardson Hitchens. Ricardson Hitchens don't get me wrong, Ricardson Hitchens is a talented fighter. Ricardson Hitchens is a talented fighter, and if this fight takes place, it's not going to be an easy fight for Gary Antuanne Russell. He would have to deal with some of the same things that he had to deal with Puello, which is a long fighter that stays behind his jab. But I think he figured his way around it with Rayo, who also fought a little bit like that. But Ricardson Hitchens is a step up as far as a fight over Rayo Valenzuela, but I do think he's probably a little step down from Alberto Puello at this point in his career. Now as Ricardson Hitchens grows and gets more fights, he may mature because I think he's significantly younger than Alberto Puello. But you get my point. Still, just a terrific fighter. So I'm excited for this fight, and this hopefully will signal, the ability to have every champion in that division fight one another, because you have of the 140-pound champions, Gary Antuanne Russell is a PBC fighter. Then you have Richardson Hitchens is a matchroom fighter. You have Teofimo Lopez, and who knows what's going on with Teofimo Lopez right now. So that division, Teofimo Lopez is a free agent though. So if he can get that fight with Teofimo Lopez, I think that would be a good fight. Now also you have my guy Subriel Matias, who won that WBC title back from Alberto Puello. So you have, and that's somebody else in Subriel Matias that has been a PBC fighter. So it looks like this is a good opportunity for these guys to unify and have a lot of really good, solid fights at 140 pounds. One of the kind of funny things about boxing, and it may change now that Turki Al-Sheikh is being so involved, but usually it's the promotional companies kind of get almost a monopoly on a particular weight class, right? For a long time, Don King really did run the heavyweight division. So when you really talk about the demise of the American heavyweight, you can track that back to the demise of Don King as a promoter. 154 pounds right now is in a similar state of being as 140 pounds, as in the PBC has a lot of fighters and a lot of relationships with guys at those weight classes. So I think that we have a good opportunity for this whole thing to play out over the course of maybe a year or 2 years. I think we could have some very, very exciting fights that kind of feed on one another, and fights that are not excessively match made, where, you don't have like just terrible mismatches all the way up and down. Like, for example, you look at a Turki Al-Sheikh card and they'll say, okay, well, you've got all of these fighters fighting on this card, but the fighters are fighting on the card, but they're all fighting guys that they can easily beat or set up matches. Like, for example, the Moses Atumwa fight, right? That was a fight with Dillian White. On paper, that sounds like a good fight, but in actuality, it's not a good fight because you have one guy that's a young, very talented heavyweight that's streaking, another guy that had a long layoff and a glass jaw, but he had a name, right? And then this is going to be, no, it's not going to be. That's not a good fight. That's not really telling you anything about the division because Dillian White was already dead, booked, and gone by that time. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to start getting a lot of fights out of the PBC. There was a list of over 26 fighters that are supposed to be fighting in the fourth quarter. That was released by Brunch Boxing. I take them at their word, know that they have very solid sources. And all of the names that I mentioned were on that list, with the exception of Richardson Hitchens, because Richardson Hitchens obviously is not a PBC fighter. But I think that we're going to get an exciting fight out of Gary Antuanne Russell and Richardson Hitchens if it gets made. My pick on the fight is I'm going to go with Gary Antuanne Russell. I think Gary Antuanne Russell is the best guy in that division. The only caveat that I have about that is Alberto Puello. Alberto Puello, to me, is just an awkward, tough fight for Gary Antuanne Russell to get around that kind of tall, long, counterpunching guy. But as of right now, he's not anybody with a title. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.